Hello YouTube, TheMainManSWE here, hoping you're all doing awesome as always, and welcome to a video on Lidia. Is it Sobieska? I think so, I don't really remember. I haven't paid too much attention to this character in a long ass time, and I haven't played her in a long time. But tomorrow I'm gonna record an 8-minute guide on a character. I've been analyzing her quite a bit the last few days, and the reason I'm doing this video is, well, you're probably gonna see in the title, but a lot of people, top players, you know, people we take very, very seriously, their word, say that she's insanely strong, and she's been doing well in tournaments. And Ni very recently put her in top 5 on a tier list. And now we have to be fair and say that he meant as in tournament, not deathmatch. Right. So there's a distinction to be made there that in tournaments, strong mix-ups, stance mix-ups are definitely a thing, right? But in deathmatches, characters who tend to be mix-up heavy and gimmicky get weaker, right? So that's a distinction you have to put there. So in tournaments, he says top 5. And then Rangshu, super notable, also Korean player, the god with Kuma, also put her in S tier. Very strong. And did he say number 1? Ducky, correct me, but at least at the top of the tier list, he put Lidia. And I believe he made no distinction saying either deathmatch or tournament play. So I just wanted to discuss the character a little bit. Unfortunately, these top players frustrate me a lot because they don't explain why. And it's been about... When did she drop? Was it in November? Sorry, I don't remember correctly, probably. I think she dropped on like November 10th or something. So she has been with her... she's been with us for a while. And people keep putting her at the top of tier lists, and no one explains what makes her so strong. And it's so infuriating. So these are going to be my thoughts. And in my opinion, I see her as strong, but I just don't see top 5. I don't even know if I see top 10, because the characters that are in top 10 in Season 4 are so ridiculous. And you're looking at one of them right now, Geese Howard. I don't see how Lidia is stronger than Geese Howard if both players are of the highest caliber. Because Geese stuff is just so ridiculous. But we're gonna look at some of... Or Julia, like if you want to talk about characters, female characters, for example. Julia is ridiculous. And we're gonna look a bit at Julia in this video, just for contrast and reference, because she actually has a lot of Julia stuff. You recognize Julia a lot, actually, in Lidia. And this same attack is shared by Julia. The exact same attack. And full crouch mix-up. You know, stance mix-ups is a Julia thing as well. There are some similarities, although she's obviously not a Julia clone. Lidia is quite her own thing. I really like Lidia. Great addition to Tekken. But let's look at some of her strengths. If we look at Gen, you know, who arguably has done the best job with Lidia. I know Chicken Maru from the UK is super strong as well. They really try to command the neutral here with Political Storm, which to me seems like a pretty ridiculous string. And then the great down for 2, that is safe, great range. On hit, goes into a mix-up, where you get some pretty decent pressure. Her 1-2-2 is a super good 10-frame Punisher. Blam, blam, blam. 25 damage into +8. And here she can really go for any uninterruptible mix-up. But only on hit. Right, because on block, you're -10. So this stuff, down for 2. And then the forward for 2, which resembles a lot Julia's forward for 1. Massive range, -2 on block, very fast, chunky hits, +15. Again, like -2 on block. But this stuff is very steppable to the left. So that's a big weakness she has. But yeah, let's just go with the strengths first, quickly. The punishment is strong. These moves are really good. Forward 2, if it whiffs, recovers almost instantaneously, so it's very hard to whiff punish. So the neutral is pretty good here. She'll be in your face immediately. Down for 2, really good. The down for 1 is pretty weak, but the jab is reasonably strong. Again, Political Storm will come out of nowhere. You will see Gen abuse this move like crazy. He'll be standing a couple of steps away, throw this out. So this is forward 1+2. Political Storm, everyone thought this was going to be the 14-frame punish. And it is, but it's actually good in the neutral as well. And you'll notice that this is actually a theme now with all of the new generation of Tekken characters that we've seen in the DLC, the originals. Lidia, Fakumram, and Leroy all have a long-range, very chunky 14-frame punish. They all have this. Fakumram, back 1. Leroy, up forward 3+4, 1+2. But this one is actually uber spammable in the neutral. Because if I just do the first 2 hits, I'm -8. And then you can mix up by adding the knee. Suddenly you're -10. And this is kind of hard to react to. But a great thing here is that this is actually hit confirmable. So I can throw this out, note that, oh, they connected. So I just add the last 2 hits for 41 damage. And all I risk is -10, right? And most people won't punish this because it's so fast. You'll even see a player of JDCR's caliber fail to punish. And it has huge range, and it tracks well to both sides. Political Storm is insanely spammable. And again, down for 2, very spammable. Forward for 2, very spammable. So you'll see Gen pretty much use these moves just over and over, the moves I've just shown you. And then she has a hop kick that has pretty fairly good range. And then she won't go for her huge damage, but will most likely do something like this and go for her pretty bullshit stance mix-ups. And this is one of the reasons she does so well in tournaments. If you're not ready for your opponent's stance flowcharts, which you mostly aren't, these mix-ups are actually very powerful. So if she hop kicks, go for this combo, down for 2, and then you have a mid-low mix-up here, where both options hit grounded. Both options track tech rolls to both sides. And the low is a counter hit launcher. That one. And she only risks -12 there. And the mid knocks down always into Oki, and it's safe on block. She also has a very strong full crouch mix-up. If she's crouching, you'll see pros use this a lot. Knock down low, but it's very fast. Gives a forward 3 if you do it properly. Which I cannot do for some reason because I'm recording for YouTube. Very good, this forward 3. Stolen from Julia, but this one launches. Julia's doesn't. And you can mix up with the Julia, full crouch down for 2 elbow. So again, very strong stance mix-ups that obviously get very gimmicky with that +14 guaranteeing Political Storm. Or wall splat. And in terms of gimmicks, very spammable strings. Like, very spammable strings. This string is bullshit, in my opinion. You have to duck the second hit. But it's just so fast. And of course, the last thing I want to talk about is the whiff punish. Simply enormous damage on wall carry. I'm going to have to demonstrate this properly. Sorry for taking a long time, but I really want people to see the good stuff. Oh. That's a very basic combo, 78 without a wall. Far above average damage. And this move There we go. It's harder than you think to whiff punish. It is high, so in my opinion, it's not fantastic as a whiff punish because quite a few attacks will recover while they are crouching, you know, dodging highs. So high, not that effective. Most of the time, you'll probably be going for the hop kick to keep it more reliable. But it's still very powerful, obviously. And then she has very strong parries. And of course, her 50-50. Again, she has to stand in range. She has to clean hits. It's a little bit demo man situation. Then she has multiple parries here as you're standing up. Built-in low parry. And if you go for a mid, she can do a wall bounce power crush. I know I'm explaining a lot of stuff quickly, but yeah, she has a lot of strengths, definitely. But I do want to talk about the weaknesses and how she has a lot of holes, in my opinion, that prevent her from being a top 5. And this is my opinion alone, obviously. So, some pretty good spammable moves, but she's very steppable towards the left. So if you're standing far away from someone, you might go in with Political Storm, forward for 2. Well-timed sidesteps will beat both of these options. Political Storm is harder to dodge, but forward for 2 is quite easy to step towards the left. And overall, she's very steppable towards the left, with, in my opinion, a lack of really solid homing tools. Although she has the Dragunov down 2, which here is down back 2, which is pretty much a homing low. And then, what you'll notice about on the top 10 characters in this game is that they all have incredible counter hit utility. Very strong counter hit launchers. But often you know control the neutral to a ridiculous degree. Low risk, high reward. And Lidia doesn't really have this. And this is interesting with Lidia, that most of the time she'll get smaller rewards. Like that counter hit. Forward for 2 will not do anything on counter hit other than give you, again, a plus 15. She has a magic 4, which is pretty much her counter hit launcher from neutral, but it's very risky in that it's high and it's ridiculously slow. The second hit comes out very late. You can do a mid variation, but that's minus 10. So she has this Lars thing in that there are some amazing launchers, but they're all stance locked behind stances. So it suddenly becomes a tad more gimmicky. So gate kept by stances that you access as soon as you knock someone down, basically. But of course, well, once you get access to the stances, they are really, really good. And again, like, she has super high damage if she gets one of these launchers going. Like this high here. Just... What is the combo here? I know we can get ridiculous damage here. I'm gonna do the easier. Oh, dear lord. Okay. I'm just doing the easy version now. That's still enormous damage. And I'm not doing the optimal combo. Yeah. And this obviously, again, around 80 damage if you get free 2. But you won't see those launchers very often. Again, 17 frames. High. So most of the time you'll see people launch with hop kick. And her damage is very limited from here because she immediately uses up her screw as on the second hit there. So yeah, the damage just She can get really huge damage, but it's balanced in that those launchers are a little bit awkward. Right. And I don't see that her keep out is that strong either. So again, I feel like the characters and the downward one is pretty weak. The downward one is pretty weak. So she's fundamentally very different to what we usually see as the top 10 in this game. Right. A lot of the good stuff locked behind stances, very steppable, lack of really solid homing tools, and a big lack of counter hit launchers in the neutral that are ultra spammable, which we see with most of the top 10s. So my conclusion is that she still lives, and a lot of her strength still comes from the fact that from being a fresh character, a fresh face. That's very different. The novelty factor. But a lot of people still have trouble with the matchup. Not saying that she's weak, but I just don't see the top 5 status compared to... I just want to show an example of a ridiculous character, and I'm gonna keep it really quick. I feel like I've already talked too much, but you can immediately see the resemblance to Julia in a lot of the tools. And Lidia, you know, 442 that I just showed, that's basically Julia's Party Crasher. And Julia's Party Crasher is faster. It's faster. +4 on hit, also only -2 on block. It's an elbow, so it cannot be parried. And this move tracks to both sides. To both sides, right? And she can add a second hit, that is a counter hit launcher. Right, and this is a natural combo, by the way. 4-4-1-4. But Party Crasher is really not a move you want to compare another move to, because Party Crasher, in my opinion, is kind of busted. It's too much. And then in terms of other brain dead stuff, a favorite is always this 14-frame mid-wall bounce. That's completely safe and has enormous range. This is also an example of a move that is somewhat busted. The range, the safety, and 14-frame mid. And then, you know, you took a look at Lydia's 50-50 and you're like, man, Lydia's sweep is good. Well, Julia's sweep does not require clean hit range. She'll do it from here, and it does not stagger on block, right? If you block the first hit, the second hit comes out and -17. And if this comes out at a bad angle, she can be all the way up to -14, although that's rare. And of course, when this hits, she gets a 50-50. In that, if you move, bam, down 1 +2 connects, boom, for a 50 damage total. So what a lot of people will do is they will just stay on the ground, and then she can do 4-4-2 to clip you, or 4-4-3. If you're close to the wall, that's guaranteed. Pretty ridiculous. 1-1-1, 10-frame counter hit string. I'm just showing like that ridiculous tools are not exclusive to like Lidia or Leroy, these new characters. And yeah, Julia to me, if you put the work in, is just a character that needs to be nerfed. Whereas when I look at Julia, it's like, when I look at Lidia, I can still see quite big weaknesses. But with Julia, I'm like, what are the weaknesses? There's some execution involved. So counter hit utility has a strong Magic 4. Has mix-ups from Magic 4. Again, this is a hit confirmable 40 damage 10-frame string. We have a ridiculous downward 1. That's a mid-check, comes out at 14 frames. And you're like, doesn't strike me as good as other downward 1s. It's 1 frame slower than a universal downward 1. And it's -5. And on hit, only +1. Well, as soon as we put our opponent to crouch, staggers on crouch for guaranteed 45 damage. That is pretty ridiculous. And if you're a strong player, you can get... Oh, you can do more than that. 57 damage from a down forward 1 that hits crouching. Like, if you're a really good player like Chanel, you'll be able to hit this most of the time. And it's just too much. It's just too much from a down forward 1. Oh. And Julia also has... I like to say that Lars has the best combos in the game, but I think it's probably still Julia. So we could try to demonstrate this as well quickly. And you know, Lidia, her whiff punish, she has 3-2, high, and she has hop kick. Julia has this mid, right? That's more consistent than a high, with great range. Oh, wait. I gotta do a knee there. Wait, is this the right combo? I'm confused. Oh, wait. This is wall to wall, and note the damage. Man, I never dropped this combo. Come on, I'm a Julia main. Why do I even record for YouTube? I never dropped this. Oh, I dropped the ender. Okay, you know what? This is a matter of pride now. It's not that hard, okay? Okay, thank God. It's not that hard. That is wall to wall on a stage that's pretty large. 108 damage. The most damaging wall combo in the game. That does 2 more than Devil Jin's already broken back to 1 Heaven's Gate. And this gives better Oki. I mean, yeah, make no mistake. Best combos in the game. Most likely. Pound for pound, best combos in the game. Yeah, this video is long, but I want to get into detail. And to be honest, Tekken characters are insanely complicated. If you keep it too short, you're not saying anything almost. And you'd be surprised how many people don't know about this stuff. They just don't. And yeah, her full crouch mix-up with that sweep, with this 14 frame while standing mid that wall splats and is homing and is safe on block. Yeah, it's pretty fucking ridiculous. And the Oki with forward 3. This is, in my opinion, one of the best Oki moves in the game. It just recovers so fast and it has so much range. It's super, super good. Yes, and as Ducky is mentioning, in terms of like, you know, Lidia has these mix-ups, stances. This is a stance. Mid check into stance, and here we can hell sweep or go with mids. This is her second hell sweep. Anyway, okay, we haven't covered war drums. It's a pretty ridiculous move. Back 4 homing move. I mean, yeah. It's a pretty fucking good launcher. Any more busted shit I failed to mention? But so again, this was just a quick comparison to like Julia. And trying to explain how Julia has pretty much an answer for everything and is super overtuned. And Lidia's stuff feels a little bit more on the gimmicky side. And I think that's perhaps what Nee is saying when he says she's a very strong tournament character, but maybe not in death matches. So that Lidia needs the novelty factor of getting her stance pressure out. All right, we did it bench and while running 1. +4 high on block. But you can mix with forward 1, the party crasher. You can mix these two. Oh wait, oh, that guarantees while running 2-1, I think. Yeah, 50 damage. Yeah. Oh, right. Oh, I didn't even mention mad access. 10 frame throw. The animation is 10 frames. That's as fast as a jab. Yeah, very hard to break. So she has a throw game as well. God, I don't even remember. I know she has... people don't use her in tournaments because there's a lot of execution involved. And I think it's also a matter of she's a legacy character. So a lot of people know the matchup. Tournament players love the novelty aspect, I think, of the DLC characters. But a lot of people aren't prepared. Julia has been studied for 20 years. Lidia has been studied for a couple of months. Same with Fakumram and Leroy. They still have a novelty factor to them. All right. That's the 1 throw. And this is the 2 break. Yeah, I think we've covered the character really well. And I hope I gave a decent explanation of Lidia's strengths, but then also her big weaknesses that we usually don't see with top 10 characters. For example, yeah, again, Julia's counter hit utility, which is, to be honest, a thing if you want to be top 10. And then the safety and covering every aspect of the game. Tracking, you can't step me, right? And I certainly have the frames. I can keep it safe. Yeah, but I mean, you could show her entire move list and it's just full of the most busted shit. But okay, I hope you enjoyed this little breakdown, and I'm gonna talk more about Lidia in my 8-minute video, although that's going to be brief. But I hope you understand a little bit more what makes Lidia strong, but why I personally don't put her in a top 5 personally, because you have characters like Julia, Leroy, Fakumram, Akuma, Geese Howard that are just more ridiculous. More ridiculous, and they certainly don't need to go into stances to access crazy counter hit launchers. Yeah, so hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks.